Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be diving into a book that's really sparked a lot of debate. Tim Ferriss is the 4-Hour Workweek.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the one that promises a life of freedom, working just 4 hours a week.
Right.
So we've got to ask, is this a realistic path for most people or just a fantasy?
Well, it's certainly a captivating idea, isn't it? And you're right, it sparked a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
Everything from enthusiastic agreement to outright skepticism.
For sure.
What's fascinating is that it taps into a very real desire many of us feel. That yearning for more control over our time and the freedom to pursue our passions without being chained to a desk 40 hours a week.
Exactly. I mean, who wouldn't want to escape that soul-crushing 9-to-5 grind and live a life of travel and adventure and pursuing their dreams? But let's be real. Can we actually design a life where work takes a back seat like that?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And while the book's title might seem like a far-fetched dream for many, Ferriss doesn't just throw out a catchy phrase and leave you hanging.
Right.
He actually offers a pretty detailed blueprint for achieving what he calls a new rich lifestyle.
Oh?
And it's not just about money, it's about redefining what wealth and success actually mean.
Okay, now you've got me intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this new rich concept. Is it just another way of saying early retirement?
Not quite.
Okay.
Think of it this way. You know that friend we all have, the one who's always chasing the next promotion, the bigger paycheck, the corner office?
Yeah, for sure.
They're stuck on the traditional treadmill of success, right?
Right.
But what if, instead of working yourself to the bone for that next raise, you prioritize something else entirely? Time.
Okay.
What if your measure of wealth wasn't your bank account balance, but the amount of free time you had to pursue your passions, travel, spend time with loved ones, or even just relax?
Okay.
That's the essence of the new rich, valuing time and mobility over just accumulating wealth.
So it's not necessarily about being lazy or avoiding work altogether.
Right.
It's about being intentional with your time and energy and choosing to invest them in things that truly matter to you.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's about shifting your perspective on what a successful life looks like. Instead of being defined by your job title or salary,
Yeah.
you're defined by the experiences you have, the skills you develop, and the impact you make on the world.
Okay, so if the goal is to create this new, rich lifestyle, where do we even begin? The book is literally called The 4-Hour Workweek. How do you get there?
Well, Ferriss lays out a pretty specific roadmap,
Okay.
which he calls the DEAL formula.
Deal formula.
It stands for definition, elimination, automation, and liberation.
Okay.
Think of it like building a house. You need a solid foundation,
Yeah.
a plan to remove the unnecessary,
Okay.
a way to streamline the construction, and finally the freedom to enjoy the finished product.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It makes the whole process seem much less daunting.
Right.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
What does the definition phase entail?
This is all about getting crystal clear on what you truly want out of life.
Okay.
It's about defining your ideal lifestyle.
Okay.
Imagine you're handed a blank canvas and asked to paint your perfect week. What would it look like?
Okay.
Where would you be? Who would you be with? What would you be doing?
That's a powerful exercise.
Yeah.
But how does simply defining your ideal life help you actually achieve it?
It's about setting your compass, so to speak,
Okay.
without a clear vision of where you want to go. It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind, chasing someone else's definition of success,
Right.
and ending up feeling unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Once you've defined your ideal lifestyle, you can start making decisions that align with that vision.
It's about making choices that support your goals instead of just reacting to whatever comes your way, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
For example, let's say part of your ideal lifestyle is to travel the world for 6 months out of the year. Knowing that you might start looking for remote work opportunities, learning new skills that can be applied from anywhere, or even brainstorming business ideas that support a location-independent lifestyle.
Okay.
The definition phase helps you filter out the noise and focus your energy on the things that truly matter.
So it's about aligning your actions with your aspirations.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's a lot we need to let go of to make space for this new lifestyle, right? Which brings us to elimination.
Yes.
What are we eliminating exactly?
It's about getting rid of the unnecessary clutter.
Okay.
both in your work life and your personal life.
Okay.
Think of it like decluttering your house.
Mm-hmm.
You go through each room, identifying items you no longer use, need, or love,
Right.
and you get rid of them.
Yeah.
In this case, you're doing the same thing with your tasks, commitments, and even your beliefs.
So we're talking about time-wasting activities, unproductive meetings, commitments that drain our energy, and maybe even limiting beliefs that hold us back from pursuing our dreams.
You got it.
Okay.
Ferriss is a big advocate of the 80-20 principle, the idea that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts.
Right.
So the key is to identify that crucial 20% and ruthlessly eliminate the rest.
Okay.
For example, let's say you're spending hours each day responding to emails that could be easily automated or delegated.
Yeah.
By eliminating that task, you free up time and energy to focus on the things that actually move the needle in your business or career.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Yeah.
But how do we know what to eliminate? It seems like a lot of trial and error.
That's where a little self-awareness and a simple tool come in handy. Time tracking.
Okay.
By tracking how you spend your time for a week or two, you'll quickly identify those time-wasting activities that can be eliminated or delegated.
Okay.
It might surprise you to see where your time actually goes.
That's a great tip. I'm definitely guilty of underestimating how much time I spend on certain things.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Even after eliminating unnecessary tasks, there's still a lot to do right. This is where automation comes in, right?
Absolutely.
Tell me more about how we can make our work run on autopilot.
Automation is about leveraging technology and outsourcing to create systems that handle routine tasks without your direct involvement.
Okay.
Imagine having a virtual assistant who schedules your appointments, manages your email inbox, and even books your travel arrangements.
Wow.
All while you're focusing on the core aspects of your business or pursuing your passions.
Wait, you can actually outsource things like that. I thought virtual assistants were just for big companies.
Not at all.
Oh, wow.
With the rise of the gig economy, there are tons of talented freelancers and virtual assistants available who can help you with a wide range of tasks, from administrative work to social media management to even writing and editing.
Wow. I had no idea. So we're talking about things like using scheduling apps to automate appointments, setting up email filters to manage your inbox, and maybe even hiring a virtual assistant to handle customer service inquiries.
Exactly. And it goes beyond that.
Okay.
There are software programs that can automate your social media posting, manage your finances, and even generate reports.
Okay.
It's about creating systems that work for you, even when you're not working.
Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
This is starting to sound like that 4-hour work week might actually be within reach.
Right.
But even if we've defined our ideal lifestyle, eliminated unnecessary tasks, and automated everything we can, there's still the question of, well, working right. How does liberation fit into all of this?
Think of liberation as the ultimate payoff.
Okay.
It's about achieving the freedom to work when and where you want without being tied to a specific location or schedule.
Okay.
Imagine working from a beach in Bali, a cafe in Paris, or even just the comfort of your own home,
Yeah.
without sacrificing your income or your productivity.
That sounds incredible. But how do you actually make that happen?
It might involve negotiating a remote work arrangement with your current employer, starting a location-independent business, or even taking what Ferriss calls mini retirements.
Mini retirements. You mean like taking extended breaks throughout your career instead of waiting until the very end?
You got it.
Tell me more about that.
Imagine taking a few months off to travel the world, learn a new language, or even just recharge and gain some fresh perspective. These mini retirements can actually make you more productive in the long run, allowing you to return to work with renewed energy and focus.
Okay. I'm all for more vacation time, but wouldn't taking extended breaks hurt your career prospects? I mean, wouldn't employers see that as a lack of commitment?
Not necessarily. In fact, many employers are starting to recognize the value of work-life balance and the benefits of giving employees time to recharge and pursue their passions.
Okay.
Plus, with the rise of remote work and flexible work arrangements, it's becoming increasingly feasible to integrate these breaks into your career path.
This is all starting to make sense.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Not everyone can just up and quit their job to travel the world. Is this 4-hour work week concept really attainable for the average person.
That's the beauty of it. It's not an all or nothing proposition.
Right.
The 4-hour work week might not be a literal goal for everyone, but the principles behind it,
Okay.
the deal framework, can be adapted to any lifestyle.
Okay.
It's about taking control of your time and designing a work life that aligns with your values and aspirations, regardless of your current circumstances.
So even if you can't literally work just 4 hours a week, you could still apply these ideas to create more freedom and flexibility in your life.
Exactly.
I like that it feels much more attainable and empowering.
It is.
So speaking of escaping the 9 to 5, you mentioned mini retirements.
Yes.
Let's dig a little deeper into those.
Okay.
What are some real world examples of people who've successfully integrated mini retirements into their lives?
Let's talk about Sarah.
Okay.
She was a talented graphic designer working for a demanding advertising agency.
Okay.
She loved her work, but felt completely burnt out from the long hours and constant pressure.
Sounds familiar. I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of being stuck in a cycle of work with no end in sight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sarah knew something had to change. So she started by implementing some of the principles we've been discussing.
Okay.
She defined her ideal lifestyle, eliminated unnecessary tasks, and automated as much of her workflow as possible.
Okay.
Then she took the leap and negotiated a 6-month sabbatical from her job.
Wow, a 6-month sabbatical. Did her employer just agree to that?
It wasn't easy,
Okay.
but she made a compelling case.
Okay.
She presented a plan for how her work would be covered during her absence. And she emphasized how the time off would allow her to return refreshed, re-energized, and even more valuable to the company.
That's a great point. It's not just about taking time off for yourself.
Right.
It's about framing it as a win-win for both you and your employer.
Exactly. And you know what?
What?
It worked.
Wow.
Sarah spent those 6 months traveling through Southeast Asia,
Oh, wow.
exploring ancient temples, volunteering at an elephant sanctuary, and immersing herself in new cultures.
Sounds like an amazing experience.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling more relaxed just hearing about it.
Oh, right. And the best part is,
Yeah.
when Sarah returned to work, she was more focused, more creative, and more productive than ever before.
Wow.
Her sabbatical had given her a fresh perspective and a renewed sense of purpose.
So it wasn't just a personal win, it was a professional win as well.
Absolutely. And her employer recognized that.
Good for her.
They were so impressed with her renewed energy and commitment that they actually implemented a company-wide sabbatical program.
That's fantastic. It shows that these ideas can have a ripple effect, not just on individuals, but on entire organizations.
Right. Now let's look at another example.
Okay.
John. He was a software engineer stuck in a job that he found soul-crushing. He dreamt of starting his own business, but felt paralyzed by fear and uncertainty.
I think that fear of the unknown holds a lot of people back from pursuing their dreams.
Yeah,
It's much easier to stick with the familiar, even if it's making you miserable.
it's true.
Yeah.
But John decided he couldn't live like that anymore. He started by reading the 4-hour work week and applying the deal framework to his life.
Okay.
He defined his ideal lifestyle, which involved running his own business, traveling the world, and having more time for his hobbies.
Okay.
He then ruthlessly eliminated unnecessary tasks and commitments, freeing up several hours each week.
Wow.
He used that extra time to learn new skills, develop a business plan, and start building his dream.
Okay.
He even took a mini retirement, a 3-month backpacking trip through South America
Wow.
to clear his head and gain some inspiration.
Wow, that takes a lot of courage. But I'm guessing that trip also gave him some valuable insights and experiences that he could apply to his business.
You're exactly right. The trip not only recharged his batteries, but also exposed him to new markets and business ideas. When he returned, he was brimming with inspiration and ready to take his business to the next level.
So these mini retirements aren't just about escaping reality.
Right.
They can actually be a catalyst for personal and professional growth.
Absolutely. They can provide the space and time you need to step back, reflect, and reconnect with your passions.
I'm really starting to see the value in this approach.
Yeah.
It's not just about working less, it's about working smarter, living more intentionally, and designing a life that aligns with your values and aspirations.
Exactly. And it's about challenging the traditional notion of what it means to be successful. It's not just about climbing the corporate ladder or accumulating wealth. It's about creating a life of freedom, fulfillment, and impact.
I love that. But let's face it, making these kinds of changes can be scary. What advice does Ferriss offer for overcoming the fear that often holds people back from taking action?
He emphasizes the importance of starting small and experimenting. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Right.
In fact, trying to do too much too soon can actually be counterproductive.
So it's more about making incremental changes and building momentum over time.
Exactly. Start by identifying one small change you can make today that aligns with your ideal lifestyle.
Yeah.
Maybe it's eliminating one unnecessary task, automating a routine process, or scheduling 30 minutes of uninterrupted time for yourself each day.
It's about taking baby steps and building confidence along the way.
Right. And don't be afraid to ask for help. There are countless resources available, online communities, books, courses, and even coaches to support you on your journey.
That's a great point. It's helpful to connect with others who are on a similar path and learn from their experiences.
Absolutely. And remember, failure is part of the process.
Right.
It's inevitable that you'll encounter setbacks along the way.
Yeah.
But instead of viewing them as roadblocks, see them as opportunities for learning and growth.
That's a great mindset shift. Embrace the challenges and keep moving forward.
Exactly. And as you start to implement these ideas and see positive results, your confidence will grow and the fear will start to diminish.
This has been incredibly insightful. I'm feeling so inspired to take control of my time and design a life that I truly love.
I'm glad to hear that. But before we wrap up, let's zoom out and consider how these principles fit into the bigger picture, the future of work.
Okay.
The world of work is changing rapidly with the rise of remote work, the gig economy, and automation.
Right.
How do the ideas in the 4-hour work week hold up in this new landscape?
That's a great question. It seems like Ferriss was ahead of his time in many ways.
Yeah.
His emphasis on remote work flexibility and automation aligns perfectly with the current trends in the workplace.
You're right.
Yeah.
The skills and mindsets he outlines in the book are becoming increasingly valuable in this new world of work. The ability to manage your time, effectively prioritize tasks, automate processes, and work independently are essential for success in the modern workplace.
So in a way, the 4-hour work week isn't just a dream. It's becoming a reality for many people.
Exactly. And as the lines between work and life continue to blur, the ability to design a lifestyle that supports your well-being and allows you to pursue your passions will become even more crucial.
This has been such a thought-provoking discussion. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on the possibilities that lie ahead.
I'm so glad to hear that. I hope our listeners feel inspired to take action and create lives that are both meaningful and fulfilling.
I've no doubt they will.
Right.
It really feels like the 4-hour work week, while written a while back, is even more relevant today.
I agree. It's almost as if Ferriss had a crystal ball and saw how work was going to evolve. But even beyond the practical strategies, I think what makes the book so powerful is its underlying message. That we have the power to design our own lives. We don't have to be passive victims of circumstance.
Right.
We can choose to create a life that aligns with our values, passions, and aspirations.
That's so empowering. It's easy to feel stuck in the daily grind and forget that we actually have choices.
Yeah.
This book reminds us that we're not just cogs in a machine, we're the architects of our own lives.
Exactly. And that's a message that resonates with people from all walks of life, whether they're entrepreneurs, employees, students, or stay-at-home parents.
Yeah.
The desire for freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment is universal.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from the deal framework to mini retirements to the future of work.
We have.
As we wrap up, what are some key takeaways you'd like to leave our listeners with?
If I had to boil it down to a few key points, I'd say this. First, define your ideal lifestyle.
Yeah.
What does a truly fulfilling life look like for you?
Yeah.
Don't let societal expectations or other people's definitions of success dictate your path. Second, remember that time is your most valuable asset.
Okay.
Treat it accordingly.
Yeah.
Eliminate unnecessary tasks. Automate what you can, and be intentional about how you spend your time. And finally, don't be afraid to experiment and take risks.
Okay.
The path to freedom and fulfillment is rarely linear.
Right.
There will be setbacks and challenges along the way.
Yeah.
But that's part of the journey. Embrace the unknown and keep moving forward.
Those are some great nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah.
This book has really challenged my thinking about how we approach work in life.
Yeah.
It's not just about working less, it's about working smarter and designing a life that truly aligns with our values.
And that's what makes the 4-Hour Workweek so much more than just a self-help book.
Right.
It's a blueprint for taking control of your time, your energy, and ultimately your destiny.
I couldn't agree more. It's a book that has the potential to change lives.
Yeah.
And speaking of changing lives, for our listeners who are feeling inspired to explore these ideas further, I highly recommend checking out The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. It's packed with practical advice, inspiring stories, and actionable strategies that can help you transform your relationship with work and life. And if you're enjoying these deep dives into insightful books, be sure to subscribe to our channel, Book Talks Wisdom, so you don't miss out on our latest decodes. We're always looking for new books to explore, so feel free to leave a comment with your suggestions. And if you're ready to dive into the 4-Hour Workweek yourself, you'll find a link to purchase the book in the episode description.
Happy reading.
So as we sign off today, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
If you could design your ideal week, what would it look like? Where would you be? Who would you be with? What would you be doing? Take some time to really visualize it, and then ask yourself, what's one small step you can take today to make that vision a reality? Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep designing the life of your dreams.